So this time around we want to experiment with and write our first bit of middleware. And the first middleware we write is going to be completely useless. The entire purpose of it is just to show you how middleware works and how you might go about writing it. So what I want to do is, this is my roots file, and I want to write some middleware that says every time somebody hits a page, just write something to the console. So in other words, format, print line, and some kind of message. So to make that happen, the very first thing I have to do is create a new file. I'll create a new Go file in command web called middleware.go. All right. In middleware.go, I'm going to create a function. And I'm going to create a function that's going to look a little bit odd to you at first, but I'll explain it to you. So first of all, let's give it a name. Func write to console. That's my function. And it's going to take one parameter, and I'm going to call that parameter next, which is pretty common to name the parameter in middleware next when you're writing middleware. It's of type HTTP handler. And it returns an HTTP handler as well. And inside of that, I'm going to write a return function. I'm going to return a type of HTTP.handlerFunc. Inside of that, I'm going to have an anonymous function, func, and it's going to take, as most things that deal with handlers do, two arguments, w, HTTP.responseWriter, and r star HTTP.request, which you've seen many times by this point. And that is going to, inside of that return function, here's what we're actually returning. I better put a capital H there. What we're going to return is something that's really simple. We're going to say print to the console, format.println hit the page. Okay? And then we need to, at the end of this, we need to move on to the next. And the next might be another bit of middleware, or it might be the part in our roots file where we actually return our mucks. So we'll just say next.serve HTTP WR, response writer, and the pointer to the request. So now I've written this little bit of code that's just a bit of middleware, and it's a function. It has a name. It takes an argument, which is a handler. It returns a handler, and inside of that I have the return function, which consists of an anonymous function cast to a handler func, and that will actually allow us to serve our middleware. Okay, so how do I use this? Well, the same way I used other middleware. I'll go back to my roots folder, and I will say, or my roots file, and say mux.use, and I called it write to console. That's it. That's all I should have to do. So if I start my application by going to my terminal window and writing go run command web star.go, I'm now compiling 3 files in my web folder, main, middleware, and roots, and run that. Good, so it's running. And then I go over to my web browser and I just reload this page a few times. So I've reloaded it 3 times and I come back and there it wrote the middleware 3 times. That's how you write basic middleware. And most middleware, actually all middleware, will have a very similar format to what you're seeing right here. Now there'll be other instances where you don't have to have this anonymous function and you just return an HTTP handler, and we'll be seeing that in just a moment. Actually, right now. Before too much longer, we're going to start building a useful application. Right now our application is nothing. It's just showing us how things work. We have one about page which really has no information. We have one home page that has no information. We're actually going to build an application, and I'll be talking about that in not the next section, the section after that probably. We're going to build an application that will actually have forms on the page, for example. And you may recall a while ago I said in that default data, let's find that render function right here. Actually, it's not there. We put it into, where is it? Template data. Remember when we made this model for template data, I said we're going to be using CSRF tokens. Well, now is the perfect time to actually look at how we can populate that. We're not going to do the whole thing, but we'll get started. That CSRF token stands for Cross-Site Request Forgery Token. And it's nothing more that when you build a web page, you have a hidden, with a form on it, you have a hidden field in that form, which is a long string of random numbers, and they change every single time somebody goes to a page. Well, that seems to me like a really suitable place for middleware. Instead of, as we've done here, in this write to console, just format print line hit the page, we could generate that token. Well, it turns out there's a really good package which already exists that does precisely that. Let's go to Google and find Golang NoSurf, because it's called NoSurf. I put an E on there. Let's get rid of that. There it is. GitHub, so that's a vulnerability, but that gives me the name of it. That's all I really want. So let's copy that, paste into here. And this is a nice little package that actually generates this for us. It's an HTTP package for Go that helps you prevent CSRF. So, how do we actually use this? It's pretty straightforward. Let's find our install package. They didn't bother giving it to me, but I can figure it out. I'll copy that part of the URL, go back to my terminal, or my IDE, stop the application, and clear the screen, go get that. So it's gone and gotten it for us. Let's make sure it's in our Go mod, because I like to verify those sort of things. Go mod. There it is, it's installed. Well, we can actually use this without too much difficulty at all. So back in my middleware, well, first of all, in my roots, let's get rid of this one we're not actually going to do anything with, because it's useless. Delete that. Back in here, I'll delete this because I'm not using it. Actually, I'll leave that there as a reference. It's not hurting anything because it's never called. I need to create a new bit of middleware. Func NoSurf next http.handler, and it returns an http.handler, as all middleware must. And what I'm going to do here is create a new variable, CSRF handler. I can call that whatever I want, but that's a meaningful name, equals NoSurf dot new, and then I put in my next variable. So I'm taking this handler, which is an argument to, I think I misspelled that, NoSurf. There we are. I'm taking the argument that there's an HTTP handler passed to this NoSurf function. I'm using that as an argument to NoSurf new, which will actually create a handler for us. And then I need to set some values for this. So CSRF handler, we need to set the base cookie, because it uses cookies to make sure that the token it generates is available on a per page basis. So inside of that we have the argument http.cookie. We're creating a new cookie, and that's going to be HTTP only. Let's just say true for that. Path, the cookie path, I want this to apply to the entire site, so slash is the way that you refer to the entire site for a cookie. Secure, I'm going to say false, because we're not running on HTTPS right now, but in production we'll actually change that to true. And same site, the fourth parameter, we'll just use the built-in standard for that, which is same site lax mode. All right, that's just enough information to create our NoSurf token. That's all that we need. So we've installed the package NoSurf. Now we've created new middleware for NoSurf, and we need, of course, to use it. We have one error here somewhere. What is that error? Oh yeah, I got to return something. I better return CSRF handler. There, because if I don't return something, we're never going to get past this bit of middleware. Let's go back to our roots folder, and now say we want to use mux.use, and I called it NoSurf. That's it. So now this should still compile. Let's compile it. Go run command web go. It does. Perfect. And I should be able to reload the pages here. No problem at all. It does exactly what I want. So we've now put in a bit of middleware which we're going to use a little bit later in the course when we start building forms and processing form posts. But that's really all you need to worry about for making middleware. And as time goes on, we'll be adding to this, and we might even be using some more external packages. But this gives us a good start. All right, we need to move on next to sessions, which will also require us to use some middleware. That's enough for this time around.